and welcome to Galley Stories, stories of the Bering Sea and beyond, hosted by Mark Kaler. My name is Penka Jane, podcast deckhand and longtime listener. We'd thank you to subscribe to the podcast and leave us a review. Here's today's catch.
Hello guys, and welcome back to another installment of Galley Stories, stories of the Bering Sea and beyond. I'm your host, Mark Kaler. And today we've got a guest, the deck boss of the FV Summer Bay, Nick McGlashan. Nick, how are you
What's
today?
up, guys? I'm doing good. I'm doing really good. Thanks for having me, man.
Oh, you bet. Thanks for taking the time. So let's just dive right into it, man. Where were you born and what got you started in fishing?
Well, a lot of you may know the Island of Akutan. It's right next to Dutch Harbor. That's where I was born. That's where I was raised. And fishing has always been it's in my blood. I mean, all of my uncles, two of my aunts were crabbers. My father owned and ran a crab boat for 30 years. So that's basically how I got started in the industry. I didn't really have a choice. It was like, I'm going to grow up and be a crabber. A lot of the, kids and stuff in Akutan growing up, we all wanted to be crabbers. That was like our dream. A lot of kids want to be policemen or firefighters. Yeah, I wanted to be a crabber.
Well, that's a really small community. I mean, how old are you now, Nick?
31.
31. So 31 years ago, Akutan was not it's still not a bustling city. It's a big processing facility, but what was the population then?
The population of the village of Akutan, when I lived there, maybe 90 people.
Right. So and probably 80 of them were fishermen.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where the income comes from in Akutan.
It's a small fishing village with a big drinking problem.
Talk about being born into the industry. I mean, to be born out on Akutan, where everything is about subsistence fishing or crabbing, commercial fishing.
We live off the land. I grew up eating seals, sea lion, whale. Everything was harvested. That's how I grew up. I didn't even know what milk was, fresh milk in a gallon. I didn't realize that you could buy chicken eggs from the store till I was, a little bit older. I always thought, in the summertime, we just go harvest seagull eggs, and that's how we get our eggs.
Right.
Yeah. And we had powdered eggs, and that was weird. I'm like, how did they get the seagull eggs?
Wasn't your milk in cartons? It was the Stay Fresh milk, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shelf life of 24 years.
You bet. It's like a Twinkie, man.
Yeah.
Okay, so what was the first boat that you actually got a job on, and how old were you when that happened?
My very first season on deck was on the Westling that was owned and ran by my father when I was 13 years old. And that was my dream come true, I get to finally be a crabber. And I worked with those guys that broke me in, had been fishing with my dad for 15 years, all old school guys. And I was the captain's son coming on the boat, and my father at that time was an old school fisherman, and he acted like it, and I got yelled at, bitched at. It was not easy for me.
It wasn't easy being the captain's son.
No,
right?
and I would take time off of school to fish these crab seasons, and the teachers would give me a backpack full of homework because I'd be gone for a couple of weeks.
So when I was growing up in the Midwest, a lot of families were like that. We'd have to take time off to go harvest or to plant.
Yeah.
And schools were understanding of that. Was it the same way in Akutan? Whereas crab season's open, we're going to miss 3 weeks or 4 weeks.
Yeah, it was the teachers would all give me, here's your assignment, do this assignment, this day, do this assignment. So I'd get a couple of weeks of schoolwork for math, English, science, history. And I would do the homework in between strings and stuff.
Right.
And let me tell you, a bunch of crabbers sitting around a table trying to help a little kid do his school homework. Did
you start out doing bait?
Yeah, I started out doing bait. I did bait for a while.
How long did you work on that boat with your dad?
I worked with him from when I was 13, and then he sold the boat in the buyback in 2004 was the last season. And so 2004. And then I worked on the Arctic Mariner for 8 years, or from 2005 to 2011, I believe, whatever that is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
your first experience when you were 13, and you're finally getting on deck. You were super excited about it. Do you recall what that first trip was like?
Yeah, absolutely. I could never forget it. I was like, not only am I a 13-year-old kid wanting to, like, you know, be a crabber and stuff, just going through puberty, going on deck,
hey guys.
you know? Yeah. Like, the older guys were just, like, horrible to me. These kids today got it so easy. And the captain was even worse. It was really hard on me. But, you know, I thought that's how things were. I didn't know any different. I just wanted to be a crabber.
Right.
And when I was, I mean, like, I've always wanted to be a crabber. When I was a young kid, I was like 6 maybe, I told my mom that I wanted to be a crabber. And I remember her looking at me and saying, "My son's not going to be a fisherman." I ran out to the Trident pot yard and stole a throwing hook and hid it underneath of our house. And when my mom would go to work and I'd come back from school, I'd practice throwing this throwing hook. As a 6-year-old,
Jesus, you had it
you know?
bad, man. Yeah.
But those was my hopes and dreams, and I put so much effort into being this deckhand and living this dream that I've had since I've been a kid, that I never really put any effort into living on land.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Right. So I've actually heard of you referred to as an old school derby style deck boss. Literally, I've heard you referred to as that. So that's probably where that comes from. Getting on there at the age of 13 and having these old gruff guys just treat you like shit. You know,
Yeah.
and really beat it into you.
Yeah.
Maybe that gives you some of the work ethic that you got today.
Well,
or maybe not.
You know, once I was like this soft piece of Play-Doh with those old school guys, and they just shaped and molded me how they wanted, and it turned out like, you know, I do have this work ethic, and I have this experience and this knowledge of crab fishing. It's not going to go away, you know?
Do you see yourself staying on deck?
Ooh, tough
Yeah.
question. The older I get, the more I realize how much I'm sacrificing being out there on the water, you know? It's like, oh, you could have a wife and kids, but, like, the boat's going to be your wife. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
Yeah, it's, and, like, yeah, the longer I live, the more I think to myself, well, maybe the point of crab fishing is to not crab fish. You know, a lot of jobs are like, well, yeah, you work here long enough, you go here, 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 and up and up and up, and like, oh, man.
Well, you can still go to the wheelhouse.
Yeah.
You don't see that for yourself.
Well, that's yet to be determined.
Right.
You know? We'll see how I feel tomorrow. I take it day by day.
Well, let's talk about...
You know, I think one of the things, I know one of the things that has kept me from the wheelhouse. I mean, I have the experience, I have the knowledge to run a boat, but the demons that I face, you know, that I've faced in the past, talking about alcoholism, drug addiction, has kept me from doing so, you know?
Yeah. Well, you're over a year clean and sober now, right?
I entered recovery November of 2016, and my journey hasn't been perfect, but I'm doing really good today.
Good. Was that, again, going back to being raised in the industry, do you think that had an impact on choosing drugs and alcohol? Did that impact or was it the money?
Man, it's getting deep here, guys.
Sure, we'll bring it back up.
No, I'm kidding. I'm an open book, Mark. You know, I don't. Alcoholism, drug addiction is a huge problem in that industry. It's a well-known problem. You know, it's no secret that there's a lot of alcoholics and drug addicts in the fishing industry.
Sure.
And you know, I'm not sure, like, why that is. I mean, I have my own personal opinions. Maybe it's a pocket full of money that we leave the boat with. It's all the hard work. It's the fast-paced environment. It's a traumatic environment that we work in. You know, we're out there, and Bering Sea just basically wants to kill us. You know, when we're out there hundreds of miles offshore, you know, we're exposed to those kind of elements, and everything's going super fast. You're always listening for a pump to, like, stop, or you're, like, flooding, people going overboard, injuries, pots slamming. It's a traumatic environment, and everything's moving super fast. and then we remove ourselves from that environment and go on land, and everything just kind of slows way down, and we're still mentally,
How do we pick this pace up?
Yeah.
I
So
get it.
it's be hard to adjust. I think, I kind of feel like in the past, and a lot of you that know who I am have like seen my struggles on TV because it was played on TV. Watch me hit my rock bottom. Watch me come back, and like me focusing all my attention on being this deckhand, this crabber, not putting any effort into living on land, like that just kind of like my inability to live on land took away my ability to work at sea. It was like this weird paradox that I never understood,
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean? What do you mean I can't work on the sea if I can't live on land? That makes no sense. But that's what happened.
Yeah. It was the same back when I started in '92, and it was the same. Getting back with a pocket full of money, and it was party time.
Yeah.
Just how it was. So now you've been obviously working as a deckhand on a crab boat for a long time. Do you recall the scaredest you've been at sea?
I've never had any close calls as far as the boat sinking or anything like that. I've witnessed my fair share of injuries, guys getting their fingers cut off and stuff. The scaredest I have ever been as when my good friend Spencer Moore got ripped over the side of the boat and into the water. Luckily we got him back, but that's usually fatal when somebody gets ripped over the side of the boat at sea.
During crabbing?
Yeah.
And was it Opies or Kings?
That was Opelio season last year.
So cold.
Yeah, I think the water was 31 degrees, and we got Spencer back fairly quickly, and I think he was in the water 90 seconds.
Super quick.
His body temperature dropped like 3 degrees in those 90 seconds.
Yeah.
Statistically, according to the U.S. Coast Guard, I believe, 90% of the people that go over the side of a boat while at sea are never seen again.
Yeah.
So it's scary out there.
You saw him go over?
Yeah.
Did it go slow-mo on you?
Yeah. I watched him at the rail, and I watched his top of his body go down, and then it was like slow motion. I remember seeing the tread of his boots, the worn tread. His body was and he slingshotted over the side.
Yeah.
That was the scariest I've ever been.
Watching your butt, yeah.
I mean, he's like my best friend,
It's going right in your head, and you're thinking about 90% of the time they're gone.
Yeah.
So how was the reaction to getting back on board so quick? How did that?
As far as a man overboard drill goes, that went textbook. Everybody did exactly what they were supposed to do, and we got them back. We had some, a funny story about that was played on Discovery Channel, season 14. But there's kind of a backstory to it. It's I had my priest. I'm half Aleut, Russian Orthodox. I had my priest from the Russian Orthodox Church come and bless a boat, and he spent a long time on the life ring, blessing the life ring. And then a week later, we're at sea hauling gear, and Logic has a song, I forget what it's called, but the lyrics are, "I don't want to be alive today, I want to die today." And that song was playing. And as soon as Spencer went over the side of the boat, the chorus switches to, "I want to be alive today, I don't want to die today." And he was ripped over the side. And it gets a little bit stranger. The buoy number that ripped him over the side was number 13, which is, supposed to be an unlucky number on a boat. And the life ring that the priest took some time saying, blessing, was the life ring that saved his life.
Wow.
It's wild, man.
What a series of events.
Yeah.
I can't even respond to that.
Yeah, that was scary.
Yeah. What was his reaction coming back aboard? Just cold.
It was, I mean, he went over the side. We got the life ring to him, got the crane to him, lifted him out, and he's just like a wet cat. It was a very It took a while for emotion to set in. Everybody was, pretty amped
Adrenaline
up.
immediately get him, and
yeah.
you got
But
him,
once we knew Spencer was safe and he went and got some dry stuff on, then it was just dramatic, emotional.
pulling more pots.
No, we shut down.
Yeah. It's too close.
Yeah.
Too close. Danger close.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what about some good times?
Save the good.
Let's just go right over there.
Yeah. Oh, a lot of good times. There's obviously that big paycheck at the end. That's why we all do it, really.
Mm-hmm.
The most important thing to me, the best times are the brotherhood that we have on the boat. We break ourselves mentally, we break ourselves physically, and we get to know this, the real person behind all these layers of things that we cover up to try to hide from other people,
Mm-hmm.
So we create this brotherhood, we have this camaraderie that's just incredible,
It's often compared to like a unit in the military, a small unit, just band of brothers, as it were.
Yeah.
And when you're on a boat for that long with 4 or 5 people, you have to get to know them.
Yeah.
Or hate them.
One of the two. And when it's good, it's good, and when it's bad, it's really bad, because that boat, the Summer Bay is 110 feet. But at the end of the season, it's like a 30-foot boat, It's
right.
Can't hide from no one.
Nobody.
It's can't, we miss out on a lot of the luxuries, that we have on land. I mean, we have a limited supply of food, limited supply of water. If something breaks, we can't just go to go to the shop and get it fixed. There's,
Yeah, you got to be creative.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of planning, a lot of,
So you've been with Bill on the Kodiak, the Cape Caution, and
now the Summer Bay.
Summer Bay. And how long have you guys had the Summer Bay? It's been a couple years.
Couple of years we've had it.
Yeah. It looks like a nice boat.
Yeah, Summer Bay's a really nice boat. It's efficient. The deck is set up efficiently. It's a gear hauling machine.
What about safety? Everybody required to wear PFDs?
We're not required to wear PFDs on deck. Obviously, when we put a load of gear on, the guys going up on the stack are required to have one. But no, we're not one of those.
When he went over, did he have one on?
So when Spencer went over, no, he didn't have a PFD on.
Man.
Yeah.
Cold water, full boots, and a lot of boats don't require it.
Yeah.
We had a Coast Guard rep, Chris Woodley, on here a few weeks ago. And he just talked about the difference in guys wearing PFDs and the number of deaths that just stopped because of them.
It's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, and as fishermen, we're pretty stubborn men, and put on this PFD, wear it full time. You're like, this.
I'll wear it on the stack, but I'm not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
But
what is fishing given to you that you wouldn't have had?
Man, got some pretty good questions there, Mark. Fishing has given me, in a short amount of time, a lot of life experiences, lessons learned. I mean, because of being a crabber, I'm a welder, I'm a fabricator, I'm a mechanic, I can fix a lot of things the work ethic, I have a nice place, I have a nice car, it's, fishing given me a lot.
What has it taken from you?
Even better question, we sacrifice a lot to be out there, I wouldn't necessarily say taken from me, but sacrificed, definitely. I don't have a family. I'm 31. I have 2 kids. One was born last month, and I don't have what a lot of people, go to work, come home, take a shower, eat dinner, go to bed, wake up, do it again. It's that's something that like is really attractive to me.
Really?
You know, a normal life.
Normal 9 to 5 and weekends off.
Like a lot of, I was talking to somebody the other day and it's like, man, this just driving me nuts. Like I just want something else. Like I'm tired of just waking up and going to work and coming home. And I'm like, that's my dream right there.
Right there.
You know?
Whereas other guys look at your time frame and they say, oh, let's go to work for 3 months and get off for a month. It's like getting that 1 month of decompression.
Yeah.
Right? Or in some guys' cases, it's 1 month of depression.
Yeah.
Or, just...
it's tough to adjust from the fishing industry lifestyle to doing nothing, everything's slowing down.
So what do you find yourself keeping busy with nowadays when you're off? I mean, I know you're here in Seattle for a few days now.
Yeah, I feel like after Red Crab I had a couple months off and I felt like I needed to go back to work just to relax. I'm always on the move. I'm always traveling. I'm always, on a plane somewhere doing something. Like, I like to travel. I like to see stuff. I just became a board member of a nonprofit in Linwood, Washington called Courage to Change. So they take addicts off of the street and get them back on their feet. And so I'm going to be working with them quite a bit here in Washington.
Why don't you plug their web address? Do you have it?
Yeah, I can get it to you.
Okay, we can do that. So what they just grab them off the street and give them a house and food and job training?
It's a non-profit, and I joined the board not too long ago, and they opened up all their finances with me and showed me where every dollar goes, and like nobody takes a bonus, nobody's paid a salary, nobody takes a paycheck. It all goes to housing these addicts off of the street. They're required to take UAs, clean, and just pay rent and stuff like that.
Help them get job training and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean they do an incredible job. They're starting to work with some of the treatment centers around the Seattle area. Because a lot of people don't have health insurance, they can't afford treatment, and treatment's pretty expensive. So those are the people that we take in.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Do you see yourself doing this in 10 years? This lifestyle that you have now?
In my hopes and dreams, I kind of see myself settled down with a family, kids, a house, somewhere where I could be home, away from the Bering Sea.
Wow, that's quite a change because you came up just wanting nothing but what you got now.
Yeah.
Things change, don't they?
Yep.
What would be your suggestion for guys getting in?
Well, if some guys want to make a small fortune in the fishing industry, better start with a big one.
Yeah.
Well,
they can't just walk in and get on a crab boat nowadays.
No, jobs are pretty tough to come by. Good jobs are hard to come by. There's some boats up there who's, you won't make any money. You'll work for 3 months, bust your ass, and the big money's hard to find now.
Yeah. Opies were up this year, right? Quite a bit.
Opies went up, I think, 45% or something. Yeah, so stocks are looking good. I think as long as I'll see where my future is with the summer being Wild Bill, but I'm so dedicated and loyal to Bill. He's really stuck with me through some tough times. I went through a real rough time in my life, and I didn't have really anybody to turn to, anybody to go to. And Bill, a lot of people don't know that Bill sent me to treatment, paid for my treatment. He's stuck his neck out for me, gave me my job back, and he's definitely a father figure in my life, and he's a good guy to work for. So as long as he's running the boat, I'll be working for him. Or if he asks me to take the boat, to run the boat, I don't think I could say no.
Right. Well, it seems like every time I see you guys post something and you're together, it's always you're doing something family oriented.
Yeah.
Cooking dinner or you're doing something together.
Yeah. Bill and I we got a pretty tight bond.
Does he lives down in Mexico or somewhere in the off season?
Yeah.
Yeah. Go down there much?
I've been down to Bill's place once, but haven't been back.
Yeah, I love Mexico, man.
Yeah.
But I find myself on a fishing charter every time I'm down there.
Yeah.
I just want to catch fish. That's my dream vacation every year. Same place, same charter, same just where I naturally want to be.
There's still a lot of guys that go up to Dutch Harbor and want to make it in the fishing industry, and a lot of guys do. It's really difficult. I mean, if you go by the numbers, statistically, your chances are better joining the NFL, or like something like that. There's what, 250, maybe 300 people.
Well, there's only 60 boats, right?
Yeah. There's like
5 guys on them, and nobody's getting the captain spot, right? So let's knock it down to 4.
There's like 250 people in the world that make a career out of crab fishing. It's out of like 7 billion, 250 of them make a career out of crab fishing, and that's like, you want to go and try to do that, like, I guess if your heart's in it, you'll do it. But
have you guys ever answered a Mayday call?
No.
Have you had to listen to one?
No. Those, the captains usually keep that away from the crew.
Yeah, there's a big camaraderie though. When you hear about a boat in distress, or a boat that's in trouble, or God forbid, and has happened, a boat that goes down. Mm-hmm. For example, where were you guys at when the destination news came out?
We were home.
Were you?
Yeah.
Okay, so you were done.
Yeah. That destination going down was pretty rough. I was friends with all those guys, and one of them was a cousin of mine. We grew up together in Akutan, so that really strikes home for me. But it's the crabbing industry up there is so small. Everybody knows everybody, and everybody's known each other for years, and obviously could be personality conflicts and stuff. You may hate this dude, but if the boat he's on is in trouble,
you're going.
Or it's like, it brings a tear to your eye every single time.
Yeah, well, you just said 250 people.
Yeah.
It's hard not to know all of them. After years and years and years of doing it, you're all offloading in the same places. You're resupplying in the same places. Yeah. You're on the dock at the same time. Mm-hmm. In often cases, you're tied up next to them, swinging gear across to them, or swinging groceries across to them. So it's hard to not have those interactions.
Yeah.
What else would you like to say?
I don't know. Kind of enjoying my time off. We just got done with Opie's yesterday. Well, I flew into Seattle yesterday and already started on my other job. It's like, the fishing industry, well, you can make a lot of money. You can work as much as you want, it's just,
Yeah, you're down here working on the
SBS provider.
Mm-hmm. What are you doing on there?
Pretty much everything. It's a decent job. Work as much as I want to work. Take some time off.
Doing shipyard stuff?
Yeah.
That'll keep you busy.
Yeah. It's last year we got done with Opie's, flew to Seattle, got on that boat right away and worked until the end of August, and then in September went up and started red crab,
Busy. Where do you make your home now?
I live in Oregon.
Oregon.
Yeah.
That's a lot of fishermen live in Oregon.
Yeah.
With my fleet, my previous fleet, 20 boats, it seemed like I bet a quarter of them lived in Oregon.
Yeah.
One of my best friends, chief engineer on the Northern Patriot, Derek Hart, Oregon.
Yeah, it's really funny in the crabbing industry. You could kind of like tell where guys are from based on how they work or the things they do on deck, Like the Oregon guys all do something this way. Kodiak guys all do something this way that's usually just fucked up. No offense or anything. Homer guys do things this way. Seattle guys do it this way. It's really funny.
We just had Muncie, chief engineer off the Southern Wind on. He said, he's a lobsterman. He comes from back east, and he says the first time he was working on a crab boat, they told him to, go get the bag lines, go get the bag, and he says, hey, what are you talking about? He didn't understand because they call them buoys,
right?
And he didn't understand.
Yeah.
But that's just an example, a prime example of what you just said. From the area you're from, things are maybe called different, or you handle things differently.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
Yeah. Yep. Well, we can push for more time.
For whatever, you can keep the questions coming. I'm kind of enjoying this little break from work.
Yeah. Well, all right. Let's talk about some more of the times at sea. So obviously, the scariest one was when he went overboard.
Yeah.
Right. So what about some of the seas you've been in?
Heavy seas?
Yeah.
The Bering Sea gets pissed off, and when she gets mad, she's ruthless, and I don't really feel like anybody should be out in that weather. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like people aren't supposed to be out there. Boats really aren't designed to be abused like that, and we do it every year on a daily basis.
Just keep pushing it.
Yeah, I mean, one of the biggest waves I ever remember taking was maybe 10 years ago or something. I was fishing cod out of St. George, and the processor was processing fish there at the South Island of St. George, and we were in there, offloaded, and whenever there's a wind that comes from the south, these swells just stack up right at that harbor entrance. And there's probably maybe a 65, 70-foot wave when we're coming out of the harbor. And it took, like smashed off the sodium, dripped the deck apart. It was horrible.
What a wave.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've seen boats come in with their windows gone.
Yeah.
It's just steel bent.
Yeah.
I mean, she's no joke when she's mad.
Water is the most powerful force Mother Nature has,
It's relentless. It carves rocks.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It carves rocks.
I mean, it will crush a steel boat like a pop can.
What was the first car you bought with the big wad of money? What was the
Man, I went through a period in my life where I really bought some cars. Not all legit money, but my very first vehicle I ever owned was a 1971 F100 Custom with 60,000 original miles on it. Yeah, then after that, I bought a brand new Dodge Ram. This is all before I was 16.
Right.
You
didn't have a license yet.
Yeah.
But you were living in Akutan still, right?
No.
Oh, okay. Cause
No,
up there you could drive anyway, right?
Yeah. You can't drive a car in Akutan. I moved from Akutan to Dutch Harbor, and then I moved out west to Atka. I lived there for a couple of years. And then I finished high school in Montana, went to college in Montana for not very long at all.
What were you going to college for?
I wanted to be an attorney. Yeah, I was taking advanced law classes, and yeah. And then I'm thinking about it, I can continue on to go to school, get a degree years and years down the road, be in all this student debt, and I was this broke college kid, man, I gotta go back to work. And I looked it up, the average attorney in the state of Montana made $60,000, and I was making so much more than that crab fishing. Yeah, I'm well, this isn't gonna work. Yeah, I'm gonna be a crabber.
Mathematically, that's
yeah. I can't justify this. No, I gotta go back fishing.
You're just not.
And then there was a period in my life when I bought 5 brand new cars. I bought this Shelby Mustang, and I was off the showroom floor, and I wrecked it with 11 miles on it. That really sucked.
What the?
Yeah, and I bought a brand new Ford Raptor.
Wait, let's go back to the Shelby real quick. What year was it?
I bought it
Was it the
in
new
2010.
Was it the orange ones? The Crabber Orange?
No.
Did it have the number plate on it?
Huh?
The number plate on the dash.
Oh, yeah. I think so.
Yeah, they made I think it was 500 of each color they did.
Huh. This one was white.
Okay. Yeah, my brother's got 2008.
Ah.
Like number 252 out of 500.
It was a fast car. And it was a 6-speed manual. And I can drive a manual, but in a little tiny car with
11
700
miles.
700 horsepower. Yeah, I wasn't, let's just say, I wasn't like sober.
Right.
You know, they're like, I bought the car and they're like, oh, you should come back
Things
later
that-
this afternoon when you're sober and then take your car. I'm like, all right.
Cool, I'll be back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but,
Well, let's, while we're talking about the subject again, what does addiction cost you?
oh man.
We're going deep now.
Yeah, let's go deep. I like it. You know,
Besides your 2010 Shelby.
I mean, addiction has cost me, I mean, aside from the legal problems, you know, all the attorney fees, court fees, all of that. I mean, the people that I've hurt, the relationships I've destroyed, you know, and
It's hard to rebuild those two.
yeah, you know, the people I've hurt, that's a big one. I mean, you know, what addicts, alcoholics don't understand is that, you know, it's you're not just hurting yourself, you know. You're hurting your mother, you're hurting your father, you're hurting people that love you, your kids, you know. Has this rippling effect.
Sure.
Yeah. So that's, you know, and it's definitely, I mean, addictions cost me, well, a couple of jobs while Bill stuck it out with me. And, you know,
Didn't he fire you for a minute?
yeah, well,
And then
Bill
sent
did.
You, and then sent you to rehab.
Yeah. And, yeah. I actually got, you know, I worked on the Arctic Mariner for a while, for quite a few years before I started working for Bill, and I lost that job. Really good job, great captain, because of my addiction. That was like the early stages of, you know, my addiction. And
Was that affecting you at sea? I mean, were you doing drugs at sea? Or was it just the...
No, I wasn't, you know, I've been an alcoholic for a long time, and I was always able to manage it and stuff, and I didn't get into the drugs until later on in life, you know, my mid to late 20s, and I wasn't able to handle it. Normally, you know, we party, we go to sea, work really hard, come back to town. I never really, you know, did drugs or drank at sea. That was always like what we call seahab.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
So, you know, but my addiction progressed to a point of where I could no longer work because I didn't have drugs in my system, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, yeah, that was a really hard time for me to like be like, oh man, I'm this much of a drug addict. And
Right.
I was thought I could always manage it until like I became addicted to opiates, and opiates just like took me to my knees within a year.
Yeah.
You know.
Recovery, obviously, from something like that is not an easy process.
No, it's not an easy process. You got to be consistent. You got to be disciplined. You know, got to have some drive, motivation.
Mm-hmm. Keep yourself busy.
Yeah,
Because it seems like you're always busy.
yeah,
Saw you were over at the memorial last night.
yeah.
What were you doing over there? Or you were working on your boat over there?
Well, you know, when I'm in Seattle, I like to go to the memorial, pay my respects. I have several family members on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my aunt, she was a crabber. She was lost at sea. She's on that wall.
You had a couple aunts that were crabbers, you said.
Yeah,
Their whole lives?
pretty much.
Yeah, you come from that family.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they were rough and tough gals too.
Yeah. Well, you have to be.
Yeah, right.
If you're a rough and tough guy, and that's the sea will make you equal in a quick hurry.
Yeah.
You know, it makes you do the job. Well, we're about out of time, Nick. I can't thank you enough for coming by and talking to us today.
Anytime, man. I really enjoyed my time here.
I will let you have the final word for anything that you'd like to say.
Well, I'm pretty happy just answering your questions. No, it was a blast here, guys. Thanks for listening to the Galley Stories. This has been a blast.
And make sure that you guys that you're eating wild Alaska product, wild caught. Let's not do any farm stuff. And if you can't eat wild Alaska product, at least make sure that it's wild. All right, we'll see you guys next time. Thanks, Nick.
See you guys.
Thanks for listening to Galley Stories. We hope you like what the net brought in. Please leave us a review on iTunes. Whether you like it or not, we're not fishing for compliments. Look us up on Facebook and Twitter too, and reach out to us at galleystories@gmail.com.